Hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
Hey guys.
So today I'm going to be talking to Nicole about basically going 50-50 in relationships and or a marriage. And we're going to watch a little clip and then just respond to it. But before we do that, Nicole, go ahead and look for your beverage.
You're listening to Tash and Nix.
All right, Nicole, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and then we can just get into it, okay?
All right.
Oh, man.
It's the makeup. The makeup is hiding the
What
blush.
are we talking about? So 50-50, how do y'all feel about that for real, though?
Well, me personally, the way I was brought up, my parents, are still together. Same parents, so I'm fortunate enough to have that. Can I get a clap for that? And I was fortunate enough to see my parents develop a partnership. Now, it probably wasn't 50-50 because my father is the type of man who basically he made his money and he just gave it to my mom. They take care of the bills. They just give me enough to play some numbers and stuff. So probably wasn't 50-50, but it's close to the mentality of we come together as a union. Now you have some women out there that believe that the man should do 80. And the woman do 20. Mm-hmm. And my whole theory on that is, well, what's the difference between you and a daughter that I could have?
Wow. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I might as well just be single and be without the stress.
Now you're talking financially.
Yeah, if we're talking about if the man's supposed to do everything financially, what my thing is, what does the woman bring to a partnership?
How do you feel? Okay, I'm sure you saw with your parents, you said it wasn't 50-50, mm-hmm. So maybe your dad had more of the money, but I'm sure your mom, what she did that was very, very valuable, wasn't a dollar amount, like raising the kids.
Now that's different. That's different. She don't hit me with that.
But I feel like a lot of times we don't really value that like we should because like that's not a job. But a lot of times that's just as hard, if not harder, than the bringing home of money. So I think we forget about that.
And it shouldn't be 50-50.
We should minimize what.
Let me retract that. 50-50 is rough. It's rough, but maybe in the beginning. I just have a thing with the mentality.
Right. No, and I feel you. And I don't
in the beginning.
I think ladies, we do ourselves a disservice when we come out with, like, they have to pay for everything and I'm not lifting a finger. I think that you kind of put them in a position to feel like they run, right? And I think we need to like still hold our own. But I don't know about this whole 50-50 thing. I'm a little bit traditional in some ways. Yeah. And until we're actually making the same money as y'all, I don't even want to hear nothing about no 50-50.
Right.
Okay. Because we're still not getting paid like y'all. We're not.
What you mean?
Y'all ain't getting paid like us.
Y'all are running. Okay. So before we talk about the clip, I want to ask you a question first. So let's start with like the first date. I'm going on a first date with somebody. Who should pay? Should you split the bill? Do you offer, or do you automatically assume that the man should pay?
Well, personally, if a man is asking me out on a date, I assume he's going to pay. It's first. But I never leave my house without money just in case because you never really know how the date might go. And I don't ever want to get caught out there where I can't pay for at least my half of the meal. But no, traditionally, I would like if a man's asking me out on a date, I would think that he's going to be the one to pay it. What about you?
No, I definitely agree with that. I think it depends on who's asking. If I'm asking him out on the first date, okay, then maybe I should at least offer to pay. But if he's asking me out on a first date, I never offer to pay. Like I'm not going to offer to pay anything on a first date. The second date, I'll offer to split the bill, or even offer to pay. Like I'll be like, oh, well, next time, I got you for some drinks or we go to dinner or whatever. I think that's fine. But like on a first date, if you ask me, you're paying. Like the only exception I think to that rule for me is that if I'm on the first date and I know I don't like him and I don't plan on seeing him again, then I'll offer to like go 50-50. So I'm like, I'm not going to like take him. That's kind of like taking his money still and like accepting as a date when I don't plan on seeing you again. So I'm going to offer 50-50.
I agree with that. I also have a rule of thumb, especially if I know that the dates are going to be more than one, because you can kind of tell if you're going to see that person again. So for me, I always like let them know up front, like I'm very reciprocal, like I if I know that you've paid for the first 2 dates, then I'm definitely gonna get the next date, and I even plan dates too. Just because I feel like women don't understand or realize that it is a lot for a man to actually go out, plan dates, especially maybe if he's not really on the dating scene like that, or if he's just now really trying to seriously pursue something. He may not be the best at it at first, So um why not you plan a date as well? Like just to me, that's one of my big things. I am big on being, reciprocal, and I always tell them, hey, I'll definitely. I plan dates too. I pay for dates as well. But yeah, definitely the first date and probably the second date. I'm most likely thinking you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, even on like second dates, when I go out with a guy and like we're feeling each other like that, like, and I offer, like, he still won't take it anyways, but at least like as a
Offered.
woman, you should put the offer out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to show that, like, I'm willing to do that with you.
Yeah.
So when you're in a relationship and let's say you're living together or you're married, do you think it's okay to go 50-50?
So yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Especially now when we know in terms of earning potential, not even potential, just earnings in general. Can't look up potential yet. Um, a lot of times you're going to meet, especially if you're dating black males, they're only going to be making a certain amount of money up to. Now, I have met men who make 6 figures. I've also met men who make a little bit less than me, and some make a little bit more than me. Just around my median range. So I feel like if we're both making about generally the same amount of money, et cetera, then there really isn't any issue with us going 50-50. I've met a lot of traditional men who actually want to be the majority of the bill payer. I just know for my relationship, I don't mind a 50-50, but I also would like to be taken care of too. Like I would like to feel that security. So even if that means like if we make the same amount of money and for that month or two, my man's like, hey, don't even worry about the rent this month. That would make me feel good. Like he's my caretaker, my provider, etc. What about you?
Right. I've told you, I don't see anything wrong with going 50-50. Like, I know a lot of women that'll be like, if I'm going 50-50, we're roommates and like stuff like that. I've told you, paying 50 is better than paying the 100% that I pay right now. So I don't know
Yeah.
why like that would be looked at as being bad. Like you
Mhm.
said, most men I meet want to pay the majority of the bills. They want that role. They want to be the provider. So I'm not gonna stop him either. If he wants to pay majority of the bills, I'm not gonna argue with you about that. So
Yeah.
I would then feel like, okay, like if you're gonna do that, then I know for myself, like, okay, I need to be the one that does most of the cleaning, most of the cooking, and taking care of the home. If he's going to handle everything financially, I think that's automatically becomes your role.
I agree. Um, I know, like in your household, for example, when you were growing up, did your grandpa take care of the majority of the bills?
I really honestly don't know.
You
Like
don't know?
I've never even asked my grandma that.
Hmm.
I know my grandma did work throughout, but I don't think she worked as much as he did the majority of
Mhm.
time. So I want to say he might have been paying majority of the bills, but I really don't know. They might have been going 50-50 for all I know.
You should ask and see what she says, and
I've never asked her that, but yeah, that's interesting. But she's really old school, so I would imagine her answer is probably going to be that he paid the majority of the bills.
see. My dad did. He pretty much paid all the bills in our household, but my dad was kind of different. He's also a maniac, but that's neither here nor there. But that's kind of their culture, though. Traditionally, they're like that. And my grandpa on both sides, same thing, and so on and so on. Um, and but my dad also, though, like I met a guy who was like, "Well, I want a woman like my mama," and blah blah blah. I said, "Well, that's interesting because if I want a man like my father, then you have to pay all the bills, and you still have to cook dinner, and you still have to help out with the kids because that's what my dad did.
Yeah.
So like, you can't have those same expectations." I mean, yes, I do think that maybe like what you see growing up kind of does shape your expectations for the future, but you also have to be realistic in these times, because
Mhm.
especially back in the day, women couldn't really work as much as men could, and we weren't afforded the same opportunities. We still aren't. We're still paid less than men are. African American women, though, are the highest paid in terms of gender. Well, not the highest paid in terms of gender, but the most educated. So, of course, with education comes more gaining potential. But at the same time, um, do you think that leaves like a wage gap between African American men and women?
I don't know. I was watching something on YouTube one time where this guy, he kind of debunked the whole wage gap argument, and it kind of made sense. I'm not gonna lie. So it kind of made me think, like, is there really a wage gap there? But I don't know. I haven't done my own research on it and like thoroughly
Yeah,
to like know if it's like really true or not. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. But my grandfather, he also did the majority of the cooking because
yeah,
he loved to cook. So cooking was like fun, like something
yeah,
what he wanted to do. And
yeah.
I didn't look at him as like, oh, he's like less of a man or something because he cooks. On
No,
the, on the
and no
other
one
side of my
should look
family, what'd you say?
no one should look at it like that. That's silly.
Some people are just so like deep in like their gender roles. They think anything outside of that is like, oh, he's being feminine or whatever. He was
Yeah,
very much a man. I'd be
yeah,
lucky to have somebody half the man that he was. But like the other side of my family, my mother's dad, my other grandfather, they were like more traditional, I think, than like my dad's parents. Like my grandfather, when we would eat, he would be the first one to sit down. He would get the one that gets his plate first, and then the rest of us would be able to eat. And that was like a respect thing for him. So I also liked that as well. Like they also had a healthy relationship as well. So I think it just comes down to what works for those two people, not
yeah,
specific gender roles. Because sometimes you're not able. If your man makes 45K a year, then you guys probably need to split the bills. It
yeah,
This is what it is.
yeah. And you
Mm,
have to be
yeah,
understanding of that. Like, clearly, he's going to have to split the bills with you because it's kind of unfair at that point.
yeah. I mean,
I
unless you want him to pay the bills and you want to live in Greenspoint, Houston, with with the bonnet wearers and do raggers.
they're going to come for you.
But I'd rather work. That's just me. I'd rather work. Split the bill. That's fine.
I think I remember I've mentioned this before that when I was married, that was the dynamic of our relationship. He paid the majority of the bills, and I just took care of like the smaller bills, like if the kids needed something, or if like sports came up and I had to pay for like fees and stuff like that, school clothes shopping. Not saying smaller things like they don't matter, but my check was smaller than his, so I couldn't pay the majority of the bills. It was impossible, especially at the time when I was going back to school and stuff. So it was just like, I remember I had a job where I can't even believe I took that job. Ugh. Um, but yeah, I just remember after I left that job and after I was going through my divorce, I remember telling myself, I cannot make less than this amount of money to be able to take care of myself and my children. And I mean, unless I want to, I'm not trying to be rude, unless I want to live on welfare.
Yeah.
And did not grow up in a mindset or a family like that. My dad had 8 kids and we never had government assistance. He worked hella jobs. He was in the military. He had another job and he owned a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't an option for us. So that's not an option in my own head. So with that being said, like I just remember thinking like and then I started thinking like, oh my God, how do people make it off of this amount of money? Like, it floored me a little bit. But yeah, I just remember thinking that. And then, from that point forward, I've been fortunate enough to like climb up in terms of like my earning potential and how much money I've made. Luckily, I haven't taken steps back. So now it's kind of like, yeah, I have to understand that it is possible that I'll meet somebody that makes less money than me or makes at least the same. I think my expectation is at least be near me. Like if you're making like 35K a year, I'm not saying that's bad or anything. It's just that I don't, especially if you have children yourself, I'm not really sure how you're making it. Like.
I mean, for me, if you're making 45K a year and you have 3 kids, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's not gonna, it's too much. It's too much
Yeah.
of a financial burden.
You're making 45K and you're completely single.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
because they have that extra money that's freed up. Like for me, I have 2 children, and a lot of the guys that I've dated the last few have had none. And I've always been the person. First of all, I don't mix my personal life with my dating life, especially um, when I'm trying to be serious about it, because I don't want people all up in and out of my kids' lives, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, I don't want them to think that I'm requiring them to put the bill for my life and my children, that I can do that without you. So I
Mhm.
just think it's important that whatever your expectation is, make sure that you can also provide that. So, you want 50-50, then cool. But if you want 80-20 or whatever, you want them to pay the majority of bills, make sure you're willing to step up to whatever the thing is that they ask you to do, because they're paying the majority of the bills, sis. You might want to get
Yeah.
your head game straight. You know what I mean?
Like, I have no issue if I get married and I have kids and my husband prefer that, like, I stay at home with the kids at least for, like, their, first real younger years before
Yes.
we go to school. I think that's completely fine with me. I would take on that role, but, like, you gotta be able to financially take care of everything without us living in the hood.
What if you're living in the hood just, as an investment property for the time being? That's okay?
Mm. Mm, no. If I can hear gunshots out my window, like, it's not for me.
No, okay. All right.
Nah.
I'll work with something, but I don't know about the hood. I've lived
There's
in the hood before.
drive-bys in my neighborhood on a regular basis. I just don't think I can do it. But
Facts. Yeah.
no, when you come to Houston the next time, I'm gonna take you for a little stroll through Greens Point because I don't think you've been to that side.
No, never.
We're just
I'm
gonna
not.
drive through. Once you hit it, it gets real dark, and it's like, what the fuck? I ventured over there by accident one time doing Uber, and I was like,
I remember you told me, you were like, "I'm never gonna."
yeah,
They ask you to like get out of your car. You're like, "No."
yeah, actually, no, no, you got to come.
You can meet me here.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. No, I feel like traditionally, I would love just to be taken care of and not have to worry about things. And I would really just love to be a stay-at-home mom, because I was one for a few years. And it really is a big difference when it comes to learning and teaching your children. Like, it really does make a huge difference if you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because I'm a
yeah,
pretty like meticulous person, so I put myself on a schedule and everything. But yeah, there are a lot of things that come with that. I see women who have these crazy expectations of being taken care of, but then they're like, "But I ain't nobody's slave." I'm like, oh, "Wait, pause, sis. Like, you can't. It's not slavery.
yeah.
If you are literally being taken care of in every way, it doesn't mean that he has to like, rule over you, but like, you should have some expectations." Like, what?
If your man is paying all the bills and you're a stay-at-home mom, he should come home to the house being at least clean, decent on his worst day. I know everybody has their days where, maybe
Yeah,
everything's in perfect spot, but meal cooked, you should be doing that. That's part of your job.
yeah. At the very least.
Yeah. At the very
Right.
least you should be holding up that end of the bargain. Yeah.
I knew a guy like that, and he was mad because he was saying his wife didn't do any of those things. Like, I got home, my kids don't even have clean clothes because of this and this. I said, "Well, I mean, didn't you know that before you married her?" You know what I'm saying? Like, did you think that she was going to change after marriage? That doesn't change people. People
Mhm.
really think marriage changes somebody, and it doesn't. Like, you kind of get what you get. And if she doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that, that's on you. And that's a conversation you need to have with her. He's like, "No, I'm sick and tired of it." And like, he would get to the point of being very disrespectful to her. And I was like, "You're really rude and kind of trifling." Like, I don't want the shit she makes for dinner. So I just sat there and ate something else. I was like, "Wow, that's so
I
mean."
mean, and then like all of us just aren't a great cook.
No.
Like you're like a level 9 out of a 10 cook. I'm a point 5. Like all of us just aren't able. Like I can't cook like
Yeah.
you. Okay? You never the quality of food for me. Like it's just
Yeah.
so I mean,
It's just about learning though too, because I grew up cooking traditional Caribbean food. The majority of my life, I have eaten Caribbean food because that's what my parents wanted for us. That's what they did. Like, even we didn't even eat a lot of sweets growing up. They gave us a lot of homemade everything. So I had to learn to cook American cuisine when I was, like, I remember one time he was like, "Can you make biscuits and gravy?" And I was like, so I just looked up a recipe and try to perfect it. And, so you just have to try, and if it's not that good, just teach me, like, just be teachable. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
definitely. I would definitely try to learn and like do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I try to do that now, like learn how to cook more meals and stuff like that. I don't want my future kids like having to get Happy Meals and shit all the time, eating
It's
bad
not
like I do.
good.
Like, I want them to have like good home cooked meals. I wish my grandfather would have like taught me how to cook more. Like, I wish I would like really paid attention, like study his cooking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I kind of feel that way about certain dishes. I think that's one of the things about me and my family, and my upbringing. I get to a point where if I really want to learn how to cook something, I'm going to learn. If I see you making something and I think it's delicious, I'm going to figure out how to make it. I get upset when I can't make something well. So I will do whatever I can to make it well. So, but I think everyone should have that kind of mindset in a relationship, and especially one that you want to see marriage from. Just kind of like go into it with like open, like, expectations, and really, really try um, anything. I mean, well, not anything, but that's for another topic. But yeah, just going back to the topic, I mean, I just really think that the majority of women want to be taken care of. You know, it's just may not be realistic today in this day and age. I think it's possible, but got to be open to 50-50.
yeah, yeah. I feel like it's more important than me, like more than like financially, as far as him paying for everything, to feel like I feel protected by like the
Yeah,
person I'm with. Like, I know, like if something happens, like he don't take no shit. He's gonna protect me and ours. Like, that's much more valuable to me than him paying all the bills and
yes,
all that stuff. But
I agree with that 100%. If I feel like my man can't protect me, then I like, gotta go. I can get a dog.
well, I think that's all we have on that topic for today, Nicole.
Yeah, just let us know what you guys think. Do you agree with 50-50? Do you guys have a different dynamic in your own relationship? Do you want to just be taken care of? You know what I'm saying? You don't want no scrub. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let us
If you're
know.
watching this and you're currently like in a relationship or married, let us know in the comments what you and your partner do in your relationship.
Yeah. Tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And obviously, if you like this video, like it and subscribe. But until next
All right.
time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.